internationale par rapport au respect de l'intégrité physique et morale des autorités. Nous, forces de défense et de sécurité, réunis au sein du Conseil national pour la sauvegarde de la patrie, CNSP, avons décidé de mettre fin au régime que vous connaissez. Cela fait suite à la dégradation continue de la situation sécuritaire, la mauvaise gouvernance économique et sociale.
I spoke with President Bazoum earlier this morning and made clear that the United States resolutely supports him as the democratically elected president of Niger. We call for his immediate release.
Avertissent que toute intervention militaire
warn that any military intervention against Niger would amount to a declaration of war against Burkina Faso and Mali. I repeat, forewarn that any military intervention against Niger would amount to a declaration of war against Burkina Faso and Mali. I repeat one last time. Warn that any military intervention against Niger would amount to a declaration of war against Burkina Faso and Mali.
Once again, we are going back to Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. These places I mentioned, these nations I mentioned, they are ECOWAS countries. They are ECOWAS states. Three countries have been in the news for some time now. As you already know, there was a coup in Niger Republic. Before Niger Republic, there was a coup in Mali and Burkina Faso, and it has been raising an issue. But there's one thing about that coup. It seems most African countries, particularly West Africa, they are in support of the coup. They are not just in support of the coup as by military taking over power, but they are in support of the coup because they believe the Western powers planted some of these African leaders and using them as puppets to exploit Africa. And that's why you see so much celebration. Everyone seems to be supporting that coup. It's not just ordinary citizens. There is allegedly from the Liberian president talking about former international and World Footballer of the Year, George Okonwe, where he said so many things about the coups in Africa, and from what he said, it seems he supports the coup. In fact, most African youths are in support of what is happening in Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, and they are also calling for such actions in some other African countries. These young dudes believe that most of African leaders are not actually working in the interests of the region. Take Niger Republic, for instance. Niger Republic, the highest deposition of uranium in the world. In fact, their uranium powers France. That is electricity in France. It powers electricity in France. But one funny thing is that there is no electricity in Niger Republic. In fact, Nigeria supplies electricity to Niger Republic. And even at that, 80 or more than 80% of Niger Republic or the population of Niger Republic do not have light, do not have electricity. So how come France benefit from the Niger Republic while people of Niger Republic are suffering? Why they have all these natural resources? And so this is actually what is triggering the celebration of Africans, the support of most African youths, because they have become tired of the imperialism, the new colonialism. Africans believe that, look, we have to look away from the Western world and probably look towards China and Russia, because obviously the US, the EU, France, in fact, the Western powers are not working in the interest of Africa. They are holding Africa down. They are exploiting Africa. All the natural resources in Africa are being stolen by these countries, while Africa suffers. And so this time, let's go to Niger Republic Mali and Burkina Faso and bring you more of what is happening in these countries. We'll be right back.
Avertissent que toute intervention militaire
warn that any military intervention against Niger would amount to a declaration of war against Burkina Faso and Mali. I repeat, forewarn that any military intervention against Niger would amount to a declaration of war against Burkina Faso and Mali. I repeat one last time. Warn that any military intervention against Niger would amount to a declaration of war against Burkina Faso and Mali.
The brotherly peoples of Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, Guinea aspire to more recognition and respect for their sovereignty.
Are there coups all over African countries? It's been long Africa have been suffering. Yes, you can even see that even the ongoing coup, the people of Niger are cheering up these armies. Like they love the military rule. I mean, what is going on? Ibrahim Traoré, born in January 1988, is the current president of Burkina Faso, the youngest head of the state in the world. In January 2022, he supported a coup that brought the patriotic movement for safeguard and restoration of military junta. He expelled France forces in 2023. Aiming to unite Mali and Guinea under military junta rule. Currently, he is working hand in hand with Assimi Goïta. Colonel Assimi Goïta, who was born in 1983, is a Malian military officer who has been interim president of Mali since 28 May 2021. Goïta was the leader of the National Committee for the Salvation of the People, a military force that seized power from former President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta. During a visit to Russia, Traoré expressed dissatisfaction with Africa's continued poverty. Despite abundant resources, he advocates for self-determination and control over their resources. Meanwhile, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, president of Burkina Faso, has banned uranium export to France and United States. Africa must chart their paths to protect African interests. Africa must stop the looting of Africans' mineral and wealth by Western countries.
On se sent en famille en ce sens que la Russie est une famille aussi pour l'Afrique. C'est une famille parce que nous avons la même histoire. La Russie a consenti d'énormes sacrifices pour libérer le monde du nazisme pendant la Seconde Guerre mondiale. Les peuples africains, nos grands-pères, ont été déportés de force aussi pour aider l'Europe à se débarrasser du nazisme. Nous partageons la même histoire en ce sens que nous sommes les peuples oubliés du monde. Qu'ils soient dans les livres d'histoire, dans les documentaires ou films, on tend donc à balayer le rôle prépondérant qu'a joué la Russie et de l'Afrique dans cette lutte contre le nazisme. Pour ce qui concerne le Burkina Faso, aujourd'hui nous sommes confrontés depuis plus de 8 ans à la forme de manifestation la plus barbare, la plus violente du néocolonialisme, de l'impérialisme. L'esclavage qu'on tend encore à nous imposer. Nos dévanciers nous ont bien appris une chose. L'esclave qui n'est pas capable d'assumer sa révolte ne mérite pas que l'on s'apitoie sur son sort. Nous ne nous apitoyons pas sur nos sorts, on ne demande pas que quelqu'un s'apitoie sur notre sort. Le peuple burkinabé a décidé de lutter contre l'île terroriste en mesure de relancer son développement. Dans cette lutte, des vaillants peuples, des vaillantes populations se sont engagées à prendre les armes face au terrorisme. Ceux que nous avons affectueusement appelés les VDP, des volontaires. Nous sommes surpris de voir les impérialistes traiter ces VDP de milices et de tout type. C'est décevant parce qu'en Europe, lorsque des peuples prennent les armes pour défendre leur patrie, on les traite de patriotes. Mais là n'est pas le problème. Ce qui est le problème, c'est de voir des chefs d'État africains qui n'apportent rien à ces peuples qui se battent, mais qui chantent la même chose que les impérialistes en nous traitant de milices, en nous traitant donc d'hommes qui ne respectent pas les droits de l'homme. De quels droits de l'homme parle-t-on? Nous nous offusquons contre cela et c'est honteux. Il faut que nous, chefs d'État africains, nous arrêtons de nous comporter donc en marionnettes qui dansent à chaque fois que les impérialistes tirent sur les ficelles. Hier, le président Vladimir Poutine a annoncé donc l'envoi de céréales en Afrique. Nous sommes bien contents. Nous lui disons merci pour cela. Mais aussi, c'est un message passé à nous, chefs d'État africains, parce qu'au prochain forum, nous ne devrons pas venir ici sans avoir assuré, pour ceux qui ne connaissent pas la guerre, l'autosuffisance alimentaire de nos peuples. Nous devons prendre l'expérience de ceux qui ont pu déjà atteindre cela en Afrique, tisser de bonnes relations ici et tisser de meilleures relations avec la Fédération de Russie pour pouvoir assouvir les besoins de nos populations. Gloire à nos peuples, dignité à nos peuples, victoire à nos peuples. La patrie ou la mort, nous vaincrons. Merci, camarades.
In just a matter of months, 4 African countries have had coups that have seen the ousting of their leaders. Leaders they claim are puppets placed by France, so they can do whatever they want with the country and their resources. One may think they are wrong, but the fact that this got France angry and threatens to retaliate sends a message of what is really happening. France has threatened to wage an attack on Niger, who just had a military coup, and says the military leaders are a threat to their interest. They just displaced over 1,000 French troops from Mali to the capital city of Niger. But why is France so worried? What interest are they protecting? Well, if you haven't been current, let me bring you up to speed. Niger military leaders just placed a ban on the export of uranium and gold, especially to France. Uranium is a major mineral needed by France in its nuclear power plants. Uranium from Niger powers over 1/3 of homes in France, yet over 85% of Niger doesn't know what electricity is. Isn't that unfair? I mean, it is only fair if France helped in developing places and make them enjoy even a piece of their uranium. As a matter of fact, it is not just France. 25% of uranium entering the European Union comes from Niger. It is only logical that one day people will come to the realization that they are being cheated. And they just did. But France has decided they won't let it slide. France says it will do everything to protect its interest in Niger. It will be important to note that the USA also has a military base in Niger, and also you can remember it is a NATO member too. And you know, whenever any NATO country is at war, other NATO member countries come to help. This is exactly what is about to happen. The military leaders of Niger's neighboring countries notice the pattern and decide to back Niger. Who are these leaders and what pattern have they noticed, and why do they back Niger? Well, if you've not been informed, Mali and Burkina Faso have also had coups in their countries taken over by the military leaders too. Mali is led by Assimi Goïta, while Burkina Faso is led by Ibrahim Traoré. These two are strongly in favor of France leaving all of French Africa. They also warn that any attack on Niger means an attack on Mali and Burkina Faso too. They warn France and the US that they won't hesitate to send in troops to back Niger. Other ECOWAS member states condemn this act too, especially as the president of Niger is held hostage and they demand that he be freed. They also gave Niger a 7-day ultimatum to let him go. As a matter of fact, Nigeria has closed its borders and stopped all trade with Niger. The economy between Nigeria and Niger has slowed as a result of this, and the people of Niger suffer already as the country's economy heavily depended on Nigeria. The concern of Mali and Burkina Faso is that they see this as the same thing that happened to Libya. The fight starts with one NATO member, and at the end of the day, the country is at war with many NATO members. Can you see the similarity? Libya is in bad shape today because of its richness in oil. Congo is in constant conflict because it is so rich in natural resources and only one person is benefiting from this. France. Today, Niger bans the export of its natural resource, and tit becomes a threat to France's interest. What do you think about this? Do you think Niger should continue trading with France for peace to reign? Do you think Burkina Faso and Mali should send in troops to defend Niger? As for us, we love to see a world where every country uses its resources to make its people happy and rich while sharing a bit of God's blessings to the world with other countries. Niger is the second poorest country in the world, and this isn't fair. They have what it takes to make them rich and comfortable. It is only fair if they got a share of that.
Nous, forces de défense et de sécurité, réunies au sein du Conseil national pour la sauvegarde de la patrie, CNSP, avons décidé de mettre fin au régime que vous connaissez. Cela fait suite à la dégradation continue de la situation sécuritaire, la mauvaise gouvernance économique et